Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. It is Friday night. We are in the weekend. It is the weekend for everybody that don't have to work this weekend. So I hope everybody enjoys it. Tonight we will be discussing or giving my take on Family Empire season 1, episode 3 is about Lakeisha's secret. Um All things in this video are alleged and they are from my opinion only and are used for entertainment purposes. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Also, feel free to share the video. And let's get started with tonight's episode. Tonight's episode starts with Jamisha going to a restaurant and Nicole walks in. And well, they start at the land. I'm sorry. Jamisha, it starts with Jamisha and her Aunt Nikki and some real estate developers at the land that they've been trying to get their grandmother to sell to them so they can build their legacy. They are trying to find out, or she's trying to find out, how best to present her proposal to Grandma Oscarine, and the developer was telling her about how many houses they can get on that particular plot of land and around how much they would go for per house and how big the houses would be, and to build that area for what they were talking about, it was going to cost them gonna cost them $7 to $10 million just to build. That's a lot of money to build, but in the end, it will probably be worth more. But that's a lot of money just to build. But hey, she's gonna keep pushing for this property because she sees the bigger picture. Don't nobody else see it, but she see it. So they were talking about what's going to be more beneficial in the long run. And of course, they're stating that it's going to be more beneficial for them to build to rent, because that's going to build legacy, versus building to sell. Because, when you build to sell, you're going to sell it and that's all the money that you're going to get from it. That's it. That's all. Whereas you build to rent, you're going to consistently get money off of that over and over again, because if somebody's renting out the property, they got to pay for it, right? They got to pay or they got to get out. So the building to rent is going to be the more profitable of the two. And for some reason, Jamisha decides to bring up how Grandma Oscarine wants to take care of the G1s, which I felt like it wasn't her business or her place to say what her grandmother is doing for her kids, because at the end of the day, those are her kids. Y'all are her grandkids. You're not her kids. So if she wants to sell off every ounce of property she got to take care of her kids, that's her business. That ain't got nothing to do with you, G2. So y'all, you sitting up here trying to throw shade and salt at the G1s, but you need them to agree to what it is you're trying to do, because grandma gonna listen to them before she listens to y'all. So don't do don't do the G1s, baby. Don't do them. But Aunt Nikki, which is one of the G1s, was telling them that 3 of her sisters, she called their names. I didn't write them down, so I don't remember them. I know one of them has my name, and that's Jamisha's mom, which is Jackie. So I remembered her name. But of course I did. I know one of them is Charlotte also, but I don't remember the other name. However, they got to win those 3 over, because Grandma Oscarine is going to listen to those 3 over everybody. So they got to get them in play, get them on board if they want to get Grandma Oscarine on board. So they preparing a pitch to go to Grandma Oscarine with. So the next thing we see Nicole going out to eat with her mom, and her mom's name is Joy. She tells her mother about how her daughter was sick, where she had a real bad cold, and then she ended up with COVID like back to back. Hi, Duchess, how you doing? Nicole also tells her mother that she wants to have another child, and her mom is asking about how is it that you're going to have another child when you don't have time. Now you're so busy, so how are you going to make the time to have another child? Well, she really doesn't. She wants another child, but she's going to go about way of adoption because it was so hard for her to have the first one because they was getting ready to do in vitro. And right when they was getting ready to start in vitro, she ended up getting pregnant with their daughter Layton. So since she went through so many hard times trying to have the first one, now her and her husband are talking about adopting a child because she doesn't want her daughter to grow up alone. Obviously, they get on the subject of Lakeisha, which is Nicole's sister, because her sister and her have the same father. Now, her mother wants to get on that subject because she's trying to talk about what happened back then. Being that Lakeisha and Nicole are months apart, or they might even be weeks apart, but I think they said months apart, which means the daddy was cheating and the daddy was messing with both of them at the same time. So Nicole is like she don't care about what happened then. Because and the mom seemed like she was hurt because Nicole didn't want to know anything about it. But I feel like as far as it relates to that, if mom is having an issue, mom needs to go to therapy and go get some healing done on her own. Because me personally, I feel like whatever issues that she was feeling during that time frame, she placed into that household. So when Lakeisha came over, that's what caused the issue between those two sisters. Because you have some parents that put their kids in the middle of stuff and they shouldn't. And I feel like that's what happened with that, because Lakeisha probably came over and Nicole mama probably made her feel some type of way, and she developed all this resentment and stuff for her because of what her mom was doing. That's just me. That's just how I see it. I could very well be wrong. It's a good possibility that I'm wrong, but that's just how I feel when I see it. I just feel like she made the girl feel unwelcomed when she used to come over to their house when she was younger. The next thing we have, Jamisha and Nicole are going to the restaurant where they're having a brunch with the brokers, where they're having the realtors from their brokerage there so they could talk about how to boost them up in the real estate industry. And of course, Jamisha touches on the fact that she had postpartum depression. I wish she would have delved more into that, because you got a lot of black people, black women. Actually, you have a lot of women in general that suffer from postpartum, and a lot of people don't know the symptoms of that. So I feel like maybe later on she might go more in depth into it, but I feel like that's a subject that needs to be talked about more, because a lot of people deal with that, and you have a lot of people that don't know they're going through that when they're actually going through it. So that would be nice for her to bring back up in the future if she so decides to do so. They get on the subject of this land and how they had the real estate developers out to the land. And I just don't feel like Nicole is all the way on board with this thing, because it's like she's trying to, every time Jamisha is talking about how she feels about it and trying to put a positive spin on it. It's like Nicole is always trying to knock her down because she's like, it's whatever grandma wants, whatever grandma wants. We have determined, we know, everybody knows at this point it's gonna be whatever grandma wants. We know this. You ain't got to keep drilling that in her head every time. She's well aware grandma has to agree. She's aware. And she just feel like with both of y'all being owners in this brokerage, she feel like she wants you to be on her side. And baby girl, you really ain't. From what I see, you on your own side. You ain't on the side of her. And Jamisha was talking about how 6% of the realtors are Black. However, the other races are making 3% more than African Americans. Yeah, they really do need to know about postpartum because you have a lot of people that deals with that. You really do. So while Jamisha was sitting there talking, trying to get her points across, Nicole has to get up and start talking. She just takes over the whole conversation. And I feel like Nicole she's just giving me, she got that takeover spirit. She just takes, hey Angie, how you doing? She has the takeover spirit and she just overtalks Jamisha. So Jamisha's sitting over there looking like a child waiting to get into the conversation because Nicole literally took it over. She really did. She just straight took over the conversation. And I felt bad about that, even though it didn't pertain to me, but I did feel bad that she took over the conversation from her like that. And they ended up showing where Chris is having another gig and he's steadily complaining about his contract and about working for Braden, but I don't ever see him working for Braden. I really don't, because most of the time he's somewhere complaining or not there at all. But if they like it, I love it, which of course they don't because they sick of Chris at this point. The next thing we go to, we see where Nicole is talking to Caramel because Caramel and Lakeisha comes to the brokerage luncheon and they start talking to each other and they feel like they don't know. Caramel again is Nicole's sister's girlfriend. They feel like they don't know her because when they met her, it was around the time when Lakeisha's mother had died. And the way they were introduced to her was her arguing with their sister after her mother had just passed. Because they said her mother had passed like 48 hours. And when they met the girlfriend, she was arguing with the sister and she really wasn't having time to grieve because she was too busy arguing with the sister about Lakeisha's ex-girlfriend keeping in contact with her. So they felt like Caramel had overstepped. Of course, they didn't feel like it was right for the girlfriend to be calling during that time, but at that time, they felt like she should have gave her grace because of the fact that her mom had just died. And at the end of that conversation, Lakeisha feels like they got ambushed, so she feels a way about her sisters, and they're gonna have a conversation about it later because they didn't tell her that they were planning on doing this before they showed up. Because if they had told them that they was gonna do this, they probably wouldn't have showed up. I think these Bradens, they just too much. They in everybody's business too much. Everybody needs to stay in their own little lane. The next thing we see where Chris, which is Jaquetta's husband, is with their son and they're cooking and they're bonding because Jaquetta is in Mexico at this point. And Chris stated that the son is the mama's boy, which he hopes to make the son closer to him, but he can't be mad at the son because he said he himself was a mama's boy. So he's okay with it. The son calls Jaquetta and they get talking about how he still doesn't have a contract. And Jaquetta is saying she feels like her husband acts off of emotion. Because from what I've seen, I haven't really seen their sister cousins do anything to him. But everything that I've seen him in, he's always, hey, Silva, you came over here. But anyway, thank you, Andrew. Thank you so much. Because I'm trying to push through, girl. I'm trying to push through. But anyway, back to where I was, because y'all know I got all off track with that. He's talking about quitting a job and she feels like he's acting off emotion and she wants him to be smart about what he's doing. Because I'm really trying to understand what it is that the sister cousins have done to him to make him feel the way that he has. And he hasn't given me anything because he's like, they're asking him to do so much stuff, but I don't see what all they're asking him to do unless they just cutting it out. They could, but I don't see it. But hey, next scene we end up seeing Jamisha and Justin's son. He's such a cute little boy. He's 11 months old. He's so cute, and it shows us where her husband does music, which I don't think I heard about in any prior episodes. And they told us that they have 3 kids, so that was cool. They had a good family bonding time at that particular time. Then she got ready to breastfeed, and he was fit up, take them things out of the shirt for himself. Daddy left and went upstairs, and they moved on to the next scene, which is where you will see Lakeisha and Caramel are out house hunting, and they go into the little house. It's a nice house, and it's going for 400,000, and it has a beautiful pool. But anyway, she Caramel asked Lakeisha what she thinks about it, and she's telling her that she wants to build equity before, but they're kind of scared of getting a house together before getting married because evidently Lakeisha's family is very traditional. So they believe in being married before buying houses and stuff together. But Lakeisha feels like she is not a traditional person because she's always done stuff differently, because she's not born into the family, because she has a different mother. But she had a child when she was 18 years old. And of course, she likes women, and she's talking about her family never said anything or questioned her sexuality, so she feels like she's different anyway, so nobody will probably say anything to her if she decides to go out and buy a house before marriage, because she always does things differently than what she normally does. They ended up bringing up the subject of the brunch, and Caramel tells them how she felt caught off guard because she feels like Lakeisha didn't tell her family the full story. So evidently, Lakeisha was still talking to the ex-girlfriend while she was starting a relationship with Caramel. But the family didn't know that part. So she left that part out when she was showing, or when the family was seeing Caramel go off on her when her mom died. So now the family is like, why are you doing our sister like this when she just lost her mom, not knowing the backstory of a sister was out here trying to be a 304, but y'all didn't know none of this. And I'm just setting my boundaries. And this wasn't for them to know, but she's letting them know, hey, this is what happened. And Lakeisha admits that she was wrong for what she did, and she'll explain it to her sister cousins. But at the end of the day, it is not their business. That's why they tell you not to put your family in your business, because you put your family in your business, because this is a prime example. You put your family in your business, and you and your spouse, significant other, or whatever have made up, and your family still mad with this person. I mean, because the whole family literally was going in on this girl, and they really don't know her based off of what happened back then. But the next scene goes to Nicole, where she's talking to her daughter, and they have invited Grandma Oscarine over for to help them cook some cabbage. Evidently, Nicole don't know how to cook cabbage, and she could have tried to cook some cabbage with her grandma. And Granny comes over, and they're trying to teach the daughter how to cook. And the daughter Granny told Leighton that she was gonna let her pour the salt. When it came time to pour the salt, Grandma poured the salt. Baby, little Leighton said, I thought I was gonna pour the salt. I thought that was so cute, because like, how you gonna tell the baby she gonna pour the salt and then you don't let her pour the salt? Grandma Oscarine, you know you was wrong there. Somebody need to tap you on your hand. But in the end, Grandma was little Leighton said, look, I'm gonna go upstairs and play, because y'all ain't let me do nothing down here. We're gonna go upstairs and play on my little iPad. They finna go sip some wine and talk about whatever they're gonna talk about. Nicole ends up sitting down with her granny, and they are talking about the fact that Nicole wants to adopt. And she's bringing that up to Grandma Oscarine, because Grandma Oscarine was adopted as a child, as a baby. I think she said she was adopted at 5 months. So she feels like Oscarine can connect with her more on that issue than anybody else in the family, even though she's not telling anybody else for real what's going on. But she did put it out there to her grandma. And the way I was looking at it is, as far as it goes with Nicole comes across real harsh and hard. She really does. But every time she get in these little green screens, she crying. Every time you see her, she crying. She boohoo crying. And I'm like, how you the hard one and you always crying every time somebody see you? But I know that some of the people that comes across the hardest are the softest on the inside. And baby, she a little crybaby from what I saw, but I ain't mad at her. The next thing we see is when Jamisha and her hubby go to the club where he's supposed to be performing at. Of course, everybody is going to come over to see the performance, including Lakeisha and their girlfriend. And Lakeisha, after that whole thing that transpired with her family, sent out a group message where she was trying to explain to them that she didn't appreciate how they came at her girlfriend at the little brunch. Of course, Jaquetta and Monet were not there, so they trying to figure out, hey, what happened? What did I miss? Because Jaquetta was still over there in Mexico. Monet was not even there, so they catching each other up on how they ambushed this couple, because it went from we talking about the brokerage and elevating the realtors to, hey, we appreciate you how you did our sister back when her mom died. So everybody's trying to figure out how did that happen and what did that come from. However, they are saying that when they get there, they feel like the conversation is going to come up. But in the process of that conversation coming up, they don't want to alienate Keisha in the situation. It shows where next episode, the aunt is going to get to crying. I feel like this whole family is just dramatic for no reason. But they're going to get to arguing in this situation. Lakeisha and Caramel is going to leave. The auntie is going to be screaming and crying. I don't know what transpired, but I'm going to look forward to seeing whatever it is. Then you have Chris saying they finally get the contract drawn up. And Chris is like, he's not going to sign the contract. He's not interested at all. and signing this contract. And you've been begging for this contract since episode 1. So now that they actually about to give you the contract, you don't want it. But Chris is giving me, I don't really like Chris. If I'm being honest, all I see is him whining and complaining, and he ain't doing nothing. And in the end, I don't know what's gonna happen, but it's because it's still this lady's husband. But Chris is not coming across very good in my eyes. I don't really like it at all. I don't know. I don't know if it's, I don't know, but I don't like Chris. That is it. Anyway, that is it, and that is all that I have on this episode. I am actually liking the show because I just want to see Miss Oscar Ring curse one of them out at some point in time. But I do like it. But anyway, like I said, that's it. That's all. So please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you all think. Thanks to everybody that came and joined me during this live. Because I've been nervous. I ain't going to even lie to you. But thank you all so very much. And you all have a wonderful night.